Look around at the lights, the screens, the electrical hum of your city. If you ask most people who engineered the foundation for all this power, they will point to Thomas Edison. But the man credited with lighting up the globe didn't actually build the system we rely on today. In reality, Edison fought a vicious, heavily funded campaign to stop the modern electrical grid from ever existing. The infrastructure that powers our homes and hospitals was dreamed up by a completely different visionary, a tall, fastidious immigrant engineer named Nikola Tesla. Tesla possessed an intellect that bordered on science fiction. He had a hyper-vivid photographic memory, which he used as a massive mental workspace. Before he ever picked up a wrench or a piece of copper wire, Tesla could design a complex machine, assemble the gears, and run a complete physical simulation entirely inside his own head. Yet, despite possessing a mind capable of engineering a century of progress, Tesla died penniless, living alone in a sparse hotel room. To understand how that happened, we have to look at the exact flaw that broke him. In the late 1880s, the rollout of electricity hit a massive roadblock. Thomas Edison was aggressively pushing his direct current, or DC, electrical system. The problem was that direct current was incredibly weak over long distances. This diagram shows exactly why DC was a logistical nightmare. Because the current dies out after about a mile, powering a large city required building a massive, cold-choked power station on almost every block just to keep the voltage flowing. Tesla proposed a radically different approach, alternating current. Instead of forcing energy in one constant direction, AC pulses back and forth. That rhythm allows the voltage to be stepped up incredibly high and sent smoothly across hundreds of miles of terrain with almost zero energy loss. Tesla took his engineering expertise straight to Edison. He spent nearly a year completely redesigning Edison's inefficient DC generators, doing so under the promise of a $50,000 bonus. But when the grueling work was finished and Tesla asked for his money, Edison laughed it off as a joke, offering him a $10 a week raise instead. Deeply insulted, Tesla quit on the spot. He spent the brutal winter of 1885 digging street trenches just to afford food. But that personal betrayal lit a fuse, turning a simple disagreement over engineering into a ruthless corporate war. News of Tesla's alternating current eventually reached George Westinghouse, a wealthy industrialist. He immediately recognized the superiority of AC, bought Tesla's patents, and gave him the financial backing to take on Edison's monopoly. Edison realized his entire empire was threatened. To protect his investments, he launched a vicious public relations campaign. Paying handlers to stage gruesome public demonstrations meant to convince Americans that Tesla's alternating current was highly volatile and lethal. Edison even went so far as to secretly fund the development of the very first electric chair. He made absolutely sure the device ran exclusively on alternating current, deliberately engineering a way for the public to permanently associate Tesla's technology with death. Tesla refused to engage in the mudslinging. Instead, he rented out public halls, stepped onto the stage, and allowed hundreds of thousands of volts of high-frequency AC electricity to safely pass directly through his own body. He used the current to safely light up glass bulbs in his bare hands, proving through pure physics that his system was secure. The definitive victory finally arrived at the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. Tesla and Westinghouse won the contract to illuminate the fairgrounds. When the switches were thrown, over 100,000 incandescent lamps lit up the grand architecture all at once, running flawlessly on AC power. The public saw an immaculate, perfectly lit showcase operating safely on Tesla's design. The debate ended right there. AC became the permanent technical foundation for the modern global electrical grid. By the time the rest of the world was finally adapting to electricity, Tesla's mind was already decades down the road. In 1898, inside Madison Square Garden, he demonstrated a small iron boat that he steered through a pool of water using remote control, laying the very first groundwork for modern robotics. Then, in 1901, he wrote down a concept that sounds eerily familiar. He described an inexpensive instrument, not bigger than a watch, that would enable the bearer to hear speech or music anywhere on land or sea. He was outlining the smartphone and wireless internet over a century early. People thought he was losing his grip on reality. They simply couldn't grasp what he was talking about. Tesla's primary friction with society was that he lived in a technological future the rest of humanity wouldn't reach for another 100 years. That forward-thinking brilliance came with a devastating blind spot regarding business. When Westinghouse's company faced financial ruin, Tesla voluntarily tore up a royalty contract, paying him for every kilowatt of AC electricity generated. He walked away from billions of dollars just to ensure the AC project survived. He poured whatever money he had left into his most ambitious experiment, the Wardenclyffe Tower. The goal was to use the Earth's atmosphere to broadcast free, limitless wireless energy to every person on the planet. But his primary investor was the ruthless financier J.P. Morgan. Morgan quickly identified the fatal flaw in a free global energy network. If the power is pulled directly from the air, you can't put a meter on it. Realizing it wouldn't generate profit, Morgan cut the funding entirely. The tower was sold off for scrap metal. Bankrupt and exhausted, Tesla spent his final decades watching other inventors use his early patents to win Nobel Prizes, while he faded into obscurity. He died entirely alone in a New York hotel room in 1943. He was objectively terrible at capitalism, refusing to hoard wealth or monopolize his creations. But because he valued human progress over profit, we inherited his inventions. He sacrificed his own survival so the rest of the world could turn on the lights.